King Charles' cancer is incurable, according to new bombshell accusations made today by royal insiders. The disease is certain to claim his life. William and Kate have been bestowed the titles of Duke and Duchess of Cambridge and Cornwall, and Prince William has been named heir apparent. Traditionally, the eldest son of the reigning British king would assume the status of Duke of Cornwall. He succeeds his father in this regard. What if the throne was handed over in an instant and nobody was ready? Charles III's departure is a shocking turn of events in the royal family. Amidst an atmosphere of subdued sorrow and urgency, Prince William and Princess Catherine were crowned a few hours later. Yet why was it so abrupt? In the palace, what really transpired? What impact did this event have on the monarchy's trajectory? Keep watching, because there's a disturbing reality behind this change in royal family dynamics. Son and father form an unspoken bond. There's something incredibly moving about the bond between a father and son, particularly when the youngster is destined to continue his father's work. As the future monarch, Prince William was also a steadying presence by his father's side. Nearby royals saw William by King Charles's side when the king was going through a rough patch. More so when his health started to deteriorate. Their shared times take on greater significance now that Charles is no longer with us. This was more than the coronation of a king. Tragically, a guy who had courageously battled illness while remaining steadfast in his commitment to duty passed away. His family was the one who had to maintain their resolve when his world turned upside down, but his comments on the value of family and inner strength have endured. A sudden change in the last days. This change was subtle, emotional, and hurriedly implemented, in contrast to the previous major royal successions. It started with a whispered request in the wee hours of the morning. A rising number of people were secretly worried about King Charles' health. He has shown extraordinary fortitude in carrying out his royal duties since his cancer diagnosis in early 2024. The king has stayed at home in London for the night. Upon beginning chemotherapy for cancer. Here we are at 8 in the morning, live from Buckingham Palace. His elegance and determination during therapy were featured in reliable news reports. But then the date that will change everything was July 18, 2025. According to discreet sources close to the palace, the king had a peaceful last moments at Balmoral Castle with his family present after suffering an unexpected health setback. When Buckingham Palace made a touching statement confirming his peaceful demise, the country was taken aback. A wave of shock washed over the nation. Timelines and town squares were crowded with poignant tributes as flags were lowered. Charles had only recently made an appearance in public, looking plainly weak but still displaying drive, which made this moment even more shocking. Something more significant was likely happening behind closed doors the day before, when a report suggested that the royal burial preparations were being subtly changed. Still, not many had anticipated the end would be so sudden. The sudden loss prompts a nation's response. Reportedly, the call that changed everything came to Prince William and Princess Catherine as they were enjoying some peaceful family time at Anmar Hall. William held onto Catherine fiercely, according to one of his aides. Gently stating, "We must remain resilient for their sake," with reference to their offspring. The scenes outside royal houses resembled those after Queen Elizabeth's death in 2022, with flowers and notes of condolence piling up as the news spread. Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II has passed away, according to Buckingham Palace. The royal family released a statement confirming that the Queen passed away peacefully at Balmoral this afternoon. With this particular instance, though, there could be no hesitancy. The changeover has to start right away due to royal procedure. The law mandated that the monarchy proceed without delay, and William was the next in line. William becomes the next monarch. Not only was a father and sovereign gone, but a new age had begun. Charles, King of England, has long advocated for a more united and environmentally conscious monarchy. People all throughout the country and in international charities were affected by his activities. After his death, the spotlight shifted to William, who had been prepared for the throne since he was a young boy, but never in this manner. The news brought the country together in mourning, but it also raised the question, is William really prepared to lead at this moment? Where does Catherine fit into this unexpected change? It was quick to answer that inquiry. Those times that left an impression on history. Attempting to strike a balance between regal tradition and contemporary duty was King Charles's goal. Following his coronation in 2022, he made it a priority to combine traditional practices with modern concerns, like as environmental protection and interfaith harmony. He was actively seeking change, but his health remained a constant worry. A significantly more catastrophic diagnosis of cancer was made during what started as a standard treatment for prostate troubles. News organizations such as Reuters and Town & Country documented a king discreetly receiving medical care while continuing to carry out his responsibilities as monarch. Even if he refused to slow down, those close to his work noticed how his energy and focus were affected by illness. Midway through 2025, minor worries transformed into serious ones. According to several insiders, he was trying to do too much. Although he may not have had much time, he took solace in family companionship and particularly in lengthy private conversations with William, since some sources indicated a decline. Both of their hearts were supposedly touched by the subjects discussed, which spanned from parenthood to the planet's destiny. In an interview, Charles spoke about how his son's maturity and sense of duty helped him feel supported. William, who has been my heir, now takes on the titles of Scotland, which have great significance to me. He becomes the Duke of Cornwall after me, and takes on the responsibilities for the Duchy of Cornwall, which I have undertaken for more than 5 decades. That comment now holds a deeper weight. Camilla, too, had been a steady presence, offering quiet strength as things grew more uncertain. Earlier that year, rumors of Charles' declining condition were dismissed, but eventually the truth emerged, striking hard and fast. A short hospital stay in March had hinted at complications, but few imagined it would lead to such a swift farewell. Still, Charles left his mark in subtle but meaningful ways. He introduced changes without breaking tradition, like opening royal estates to the public and bringing attention to sustainability. His passing left behind not only a clear line of succession as laid out in official royal protocols, but also a wave of emotion. Being next in line was expected, but being ready for it, emotionally and mentally, was something else entirely. At one of his final public appearances, those present noticed a heaviness in the atmosphere, shared glances among family members, filled with silent concern. Catherine, calm and graceful, remained composed through it all. At events like the Chelsea Flower Show, she stood beside the king, offering support while quietly navigating her own responsibilities. Charles' death wasn't only the end of a reign, it sparked the beginning of something entirely new. Suddenly the focus turned to William, now the king, and Catherine standing beside him, not just as queen, but as a symbol of balance and strength. The question on everyone's mind now, could they carry the monarchy forward in a changing world? The turning point and private grief. As midnight passed, everything changed. In that quiet moment, the royal title moved from father to son without any grand announcement. Under official rules, William instantly became king. The moment Charles was gone, no formal declaration needed. Behind palace walls, staff moved quickly to respond. The Accession Council was called together online, a sign of just how fast and modern this transition had to be. Those present described a flurry of activity, urgent but respectful. William, his face marked with grief, quietly signed the necessary papers while Catherine stayed close, holding their children and offering quiet strength. "This is all moving too quickly," William reportedly said, his voice full of emotion. Though the legal process was clear and automatic, the emotional weight was anything but simple. Family members gathered behind closed doors, sharing personal memories of Charles, his dry humor, his advice, his quiet strength. Camilla, now Queen Dowager, held William's hand gently and reminded him, "He always had faith in you." If King Charles were to pass away before Queen Camilla, she would take on the title of Queen Dowager Camilla. Queen Dowager is the official name that is given to widows of late kings. The world learned of the change through a calm, solemn BBC broadcast. Almost immediately, King William began trending online. The posts were filled with both sorrow and cautious hope. Within the family, the impact was deeply personal. Young Princess Charlotte, ever thoughtful, asked questions that tugged at everyone's hearts. Prince George, aware of his own future, stood quietly beside his father, absorbing the gravity of the moment. Catherine's steady presence brought a sense of calm. Those who have followed her journey, as described in numerous royal profiles, have seen her as the quiet force beside William, always prepared, always composed. And though they had both long known this day would come, nothing truly prepares you for the reality of it. By morning, King William V had officially taken on the role. The crown rested on his shoulders, not just as a symbol of leadership, but as a reminder of everything he'd lost. That night forged a new chapter, not just for the monarchy, but for the family behind it. They were no longer simply royals. They were a family in mourning, stepping forward with resolve and grace, determined to honor a legacy while building their own. Behind the polished titles and royal duties, William's path to the throne was shaped not only by formal training and diplomacy and leadership, but by deep personal growth. Those close to the palace often spoke of how recent years brought father and son closer, especially during King Charles' health struggles. Though prepared in many ways, nothing could shield William from the emotional weight of losing his father. He tried to stay composed in public, but those close to him say he allowed himself moments of grief behind closed doors, with Catherine always nearby, quietly offering comfort. He's holding it together, but this loss has shaken him. One longtime friend revealed. His journey from prince to monarch came quickly, and while royal titles changed overnight, his internal shift had been building over time. Lessons learned from watching his father lead, the quiet strength drawn from his own family, and the responsibilities of raising George, Charlotte, and Louis helped shape him into a more grounded leader. Catherine's influence during this period was subtle, but powerful. Known for her graceful presence at events like school runs or even tennis matches. The Princess of Wales has joined tennis icon Roger Federer for a look behind the scenes at the Wimbledon ball girls and boys. Kate and the Wimbledon champion attended a training session with the youths who were competing to secure a spot for the upcoming Wimbledon tournament next Monday. She stepped naturally into her new role. Her calm during such a turbulent time helped guide not just William, but the entire family. This was not simply a ceremonial shift, it was a deeply personal transition. William's long-standing commitment to causes like mental health awareness and helping the homeless pointed to the kind of compassionate leadership he now brings as king. But this rapid change tested him like never before, blending sorrow with responsibility in a single breath. As for Catherine, her rise to queen was marked not by grandeur, but by quiet strength. Often praised for her warmth and dignity, she became the emotional center of the royal family during this change. Observers recalled how she soothed the children and supported William in moments of uncertainty. She's always led with love, one insider said, referencing small but telling moments, like gently fixing Charlotte's hair during public appearances. Together, William and Catherine stepped into their new roles with grace, weathered by loss, strengthened by love, and united by duty. Their presence offered the country not only stability, but a renewed sense of hope for what lies ahead. Catherine's rise as queen. With her new role as queen, Catherine's presence now carries even more meaning. Known for her grace and calm, she naturally stepped into the spotlight. Online forums and royal watchers confirmed she would be officially called Queen Catherine, a title that fits her quiet dignity. While William dealt with royal responsibilities, Catherine remained the steady force at home, comforting the children and keeping the family grounded through the storm. Her past battle with illness, like Charles's, gave her journey to the crown a powerful message. Strength through struggle. Many believe she'll continue to advocate for causes close to her heart, especially those tied to family life and community care. This moment wasn't scripted. It was real, emotional, and deeply human. Catherine didn't just inherit a title. She proved she belonged in it. Kate Middleton's royal role is expanding. On April 23, Buckingham Palace announces that King Charles III has honored the Princess of Wales with a new title. For the first time in royal history, the crowning took place at night under the quiet arches of Westminster Abbey. It was solemn and swift. With the Archbishop of Canterbury leading the ceremony, William was anointed in a sacred moment heavy with meaning. Catherine stood beside him, not just as a wife, but as a partner in every sense. Her crown, placed with quiet reverence, symbolized unity more than grandeur. Those present described dim lighting, the soft sound of tears, and a feeling of closeness that made the ceremony unforgettable. Unlike King Charles' larger coronation, this one was more personal. There were no roaring crowds, just family, emotion, and a sense of duty. Reports confirmed that everything had to happen quickly, with oaths taken even while mourning. The children stood by, processing it all. George, especially, seemed to understand the importance of the moment. His composed expression reflected the early signs of a future leader. Camilla, though grieving, remained strong, standing nearby with quiet support. As the crowns were placed, William and Catherine shared a single glance that said everything. This wasn't just about tradition. It was about love, loss, and the beginning of a new chapter. King Charles' sudden departure changed everything. It brought unexpected shifts and tested the family in ways no one predicted. For the youngest royals, it was overwhelming. Prince George now stands one step closer to his own destiny, the future arriving faster than anyone imagined. Sources close to the royal household say that William and Catherine had been gently guiding Prince George, slowly preparing him for the path ahead. They used past experiences, including lessons learned from King Charles' time as monarch, to help shape his understanding. Still, when the moment came, the reality was heavy. George showed a calm maturity that surprised even those closest to him during the family's early private gatherings. Princess Charlotte, with her natural confidence, remained composed even through her tears. Her quiet strength at home echoed the grace she once displayed during Queen Elizabeth's funeral. She took it upon herself to comfort her younger brother, Louis, often leaning in with soft words and gentle smiles. Little Louis, unaware of the full weight of what had happened, stayed close to his parents. His cheerful energy brought brief moments of peace and warmth to a palace otherwise filled with sorrow. Within the family, things shifted quickly. Camilla, now holding the title of Queen Dowager, took on a more reflective role, one rooted in tradition, similar to Queen Adelaide's title, after the passing of King William IV. Those close to her say she was a constant support for William, steady and present through the overnight ceremony, reinforcing the family's sense of continuity. One presence, however, was noticeably missing. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle did not attend. Their distance from royal life stood out sharply during such a defining time for the family. Buckingham Palace has confirmed that the Duke and Duchess of Sussex will not be returning as working members of the royal family. Prince Harry and Meghan stepped down from royal duties last year and moved to the United States. Reports suggested that behind the scenes, there were quiet conversations about healing old wounds, especially now, when unity matters more than ever. Harry's position in the line of succession remains unchanged, but his life across the ocean tells a very different story. As the palace navigated grief and change, the contrast between the royal halls of London and the calm of California was hard to ignore. Across the country, people came together in both grief and quiet optimism, following King Charles' passing. The sight of lowered flags and countless bouquets left outside royal residences reminded many of the nation's mourning during Queen Elizabeth's final days. It was a time of deep reflection, but also one of unity. Economists pointed to possible changes ahead, with some uncertainty in financial markets expected during the transition. However, Prince William's focus on calm leadership helped ease immediate concerns, signaling a steady path forward. Meanwhile, many of the causes King Charles supported, especially in nature conservation and health, received an outpouring of public support. Donations rose sharply as people looked for ways to continue the work he cared deeply about. Catherine, now stepping into her role as queen, became a figure of strength for both the family and the nation. Her caring nature and composed presence reminded many of her nurturing ways as a mother, bringing a quiet strength during uncertain times. Beyond Britain, leaders from across the Commonwealth expressed their sympathies, acknowledging Charles' role as a respected global figure. His passing prompted both reflection and renewed commitment to shared values among member nations. Within the royal family itself, bonds were quietly repaired and strengthened. Relatives found comfort in shared memories and made a quiet promise to carry on Charles' efforts. In the midst of sadness, a sense of purpose began to take root, marking the beginning of a new chapter filled with quiet determination and unity. A new monarchy for a changing world. With King William and Queen Catherine now at the helm, the monarchy steps into a new age, one that honors the past, but looks clearly toward the future. Their leadership style blends calm tradition with a youthful, modern touch. Instead of sticking strictly to old customs, they are quietly reshaping the royal image to be more relatable, accessible, and relevant to today's society. Behind palace doors, sources suggest that William hopes to gently reshape how things are done, focusing on a more practical and less formal version of royal life. Ceremonies are expected to be simpler, and the overall operation more focused on real impact rather than pageantry. Reducing unnecessary spending and making the family feel closer to the people is part of that goal. Environmental care remains central to their efforts, with global sustainability remaining high on their list. William's past work in climate awareness has set the foundation, and their joint commitment to mental health is expected to grow, using their personal stories to break down barriers and offer support. At home, Catherine continues to advocate for issues close to her heart, particularly children's development and helping families find balance in today's fast-paced world. George, Charlotte, and Louis are being raised with values that blend royal duty with a grounded upbringing, offering them space to explore life beyond royal expectations. Possibly through careers tied to global service or the environment. Catherine's influence brings an added warmth to the institution. She takes her role seriously, not just as a queen, but as someone with a genuine desire to connect. Her fashion choices and soft public presence quietly echo the strength of Queen Elizabeth and the compassion of Princess Diana. Kate Middleton is paying homage to her mother, to a confident and determined individual, education, and growing up in the royal environment. As they grew up, their paths became more distinct. Charles was the first royal heir to attend regular schools. He started at Hill House in London, moved to Cheam, and later attended Gordonstoun in Scotland. Gordonstoun was known for its harsh weather and demanding lifestyle. Charles found the experience very difficult. The cold showers, strict routine, and distance from home left a deep impression on him. And had a different school experience. She studied at Benenden in Kent. For Benenden School and the royal family, this was a historic day. Princess Anne was shortly to arrive. A school that suited her better. Although it also had strict rules, and strong personality and sharp mind helped her thrive there. Anne was admired for being bold and honest. She never let royal expectations define her and always chose to follow her own way. One thing that brought her and Charles closer was their shared love for horses. Spending time around animals and in nature gave them a much-needed escape from the pressures of royal life. While Charles loved playing polo, and became an exceptional rider and even represented Britain in the 1976 Olympics. To them, horses weren't just a hobby, they were a way to feel free. Life in the public eye was tough. Every little thing they did, how they dressed, how they smiled, was watched and discussed. Yet through it all, they leaned on each other. Their bond wasn't loud or showy, but it was real, lasting. And unlike any other. From a young age, Charles had to prepare for his future role. His schedule was full of lessons in speaking, posture, and behavior, and his life was carefully planned. Anne, on the other hand, had more room to explore her own interests and personality. While Charles often felt misunderstood because of his sensitive nature, and remained strong, clear-headed, and never afraid to stand out. Though they grew up in the same royal environment, each chose a different path. The special bond between Charles and Anne. Now let's take a closer look at the strong relationship between King Charles III and Princess Anne. Their closeness isn't just because they are brother and sister, it's built on years of trust, loyalty, and shared experience. Born only a couple of years apart, they've supported one another through every phase of royal life. Both the joyful moments and the difficult ones. The royal lifestyle could feel cold and distant, but Charles and Anne always found comfort in each other. They shared laughter, played games, and dreamed about the future together. Their friendship was rooted in honesty and mutual respect, not in their roles as prince and princess. Their shared passion for outdoor activities, especially horse riding, helped them feel like themselves again, free from rules, cameras, and responsibilities. Whether attending public events or simply enjoying the countryside, they looked happiest in those peaceful moments together. Photos from their younger days show the bond clearly, smiles, laughter, and a relaxed closeness rarely seen in royal settings. As they grew older, their lives went in different directions. Charles, as the future monarch, lived under intense pressure. His future role as monarch. The Prince of Wales was reported to want more control over the monarchy. Always aware of how he was seen and what was expected, and took on her duties with energy and discipline. She built a reputation for being reliable and direct, always showing up and getting the job done without fuss. Even though their lives took different directions, Charles and Anne always remained close. They both understood the weight that came with their royal roles. That shared experience brought them even closer. One touching memory from their early years highlights this connection. After Charles returned home from a tough time at a boarding school in Scotland, he felt isolated and out of place. Anne, sensing this, gently reached for his hand, a quiet, yet powerful gesture of support. It was her way of reminding him that he wasn't alone. As they grew older, this unspoken understanding never faded. When Anne celebrated 4 decades of her involvement with the Butler Trust at a special ceremony at St. James's Palace, Charles was right there beside her. These moments, big and small, showed the public how genuine and lasting their relationship was. Charles faced a long, challenging road before becoming king. Through it all, Anne remained a steady source of support. After his coronation, she didn't step away. Instead, she stepped up, now holding the trusted position of Counselor of State. This role means she assists with royal duties when needed and reflects how much Charles values her judgment and loyalty. When Charles had to spend time in the hospital due to complications from his cancer treatment, Buckingham Palace, which has announced that the king has been diagnosed with cancer, and visited him without making a fuss. She didn't need to speak grand words. Her presence alone was enough to show how much she cared. In that moment, she wasn't just a royal figure. She was simply a sister looking after her brother. Their emotional bond was also visible when Charles faced public criticism for his relationship with Camilla. Despite widespread disapproval, stood by him. She had experienced heartbreak and the struggle between duty and personal happiness in her own life, which made her empathy even deeper. Both Charles and Anne have had complicated love stories. Growing up in the public eye meant their personal relationships were rarely private. Even though they took different routes, they both had to balance their responsibilities with their search for love. Their experiences show that even those born into power must fight for their happiness. The complicated love story of Charles and Camilla. Charles met Camilla Shand in 1970 during a polo match, and their connection grew quickly. But despite their affection, the royal family didn't view Camilla as the right match for a future king. This led them to marry different people. Charles to Diana in 1981, and Camilla to Andrew Parker Bowles in 1973. Andrew and Camilla tied the knot on July 4, 1973. Still, the bond between Charles and Camilla never fully ended. They remained in contact, and by the early 1990s, their relationship had quietly rekindled. In 1993, a private phone call between the two became public, causing a major scandal. The public reaction was especially harsh toward Camilla, who was blamed for the difficulties in Charles and Diana's marriage. Charles and Camilla faced intense scrutiny from the public and press. Despite the criticism and challenges, their connection only grew stronger. Both had previously been in marriages that eventually came to an end. In 2005, they quietly tied the knot in a small ceremony, finally free to be open about their relationship. Even though some people still had mixed feelings, the couple stayed close and supported each other through every stage of life. Over the years, Camilla proved to be a steady and encouraging presence beside Charles. Whether it was personal struggles or official responsibilities, she remained his biggest supporter, especially during his recent health challenges. When Queen Elizabeth II passed away, Charles became the monarch and Camilla was named Queen Consort in 2023. It was a powerful moment for someone who was once viewed as an outsider to now be standing by the king's side. Their journey is a testament to staying true to love, even when faced with doubt and public judgment. Princess Anne's personal life and royal duties. Princess Anne also has a story marked by strength and perseverance. She married Captain Mark Phillips in 1973 and they welcomed 2 children. Though their marriage appeared stable, they faced ongoing issues behind the scenes. In 1992, they ended their marriage. Around the same time, Anne found companionship with Sir Timothy Lawrence, a former naval officer and aide to the Queen. Their relationship began quietly, attracting some attention, but Anne and Timothy chose to continue together, regardless of the gossip. They married in a simple ceremony in Scotland, choosing to start a new chapter in a private, personal way. Since then, they've built a quiet, steady life at their countryside home, Gatcombe Park. Although they stay out of the spotlight, their devotion to one another and to royal duties shines through. Like Charles and Camilla, they found happiness not through public approval, but through mutual understanding and shared values. Charles' preparation for kingship and public life. Charles' life was shaped from birth by his royal destiny. Born on November 14, 1948, to Princess Elizabeth, heiress presumptive to the throne, a son had been born. His path changed forever in 1952 when his mother became queen. At just 3 years old, he became the heir to the throne. From that moment, every move he made was observed closely by the public and the press. As he matured, Charles recognized the weight of the role that lay ahead. His wait to become king lasted longer than anyone before him, serving as Prince of Wales for more than 7 decades. Yet those years weren't idle. They were filled with lessons, public responsibilities, and efforts to find his voice within the confines of royal life. Charles was never content just to follow the rules. He cared deeply about the environment and spoke openly about protecting the earth long before it became a global priority. He also championed causes like organic farming, heritage architecture, and alternative health practices. These interests made him both admired and criticized, but he remained committed to what he believed in. His private life drew global attention. In 1981, he married Lady Diana Spencer in a wedding watched by millions. While many hoped for a fairy-tale ending, their relationship was troubled and they separated in 1992, finalizing their divorce in 1996. Diana had become a beloved figure and the breakdown of their marriage saddened many. The situation became even more complicated when a private phone conversation between Charles and Camilla was leaked to the public, leading to a media storm. That event, along with other controversies, such as foreign donations to his charities, raised questions, even though no laws were broken. These pressures only added to the challenges Charles faced as he prepared to take on the role of monarch. Charles' challenges as king and family dynamics. Charles' bond with his sons, especially with Prince Harry, has added complexity to his public life. When Harry decided to step away from royal responsibilities and speak openly about private matters, it sparked fresh tension. Prince Harry has spoken candidly about the breakdown of his relationship with his father and other members of the royal family. He suggested that his father could help resolve things by stepping back and letting professionals handle the situation. This brought even more attention to the royal family, and people paid close attention to how Charles would respond. Some felt he wasn't doing enough for Harry, while others believed he was doing the best he could in a difficult situation. In 2022, after Queen Elizabeth II passed away, Charles assumed the role of king. It was a time of both national mourning and historic transition. In his first message to the nation, Charles praised his mother's years of service and promised to carry her work forward. He knew he had to respect long-standing traditions while also leading the monarchy in a new direction. Charles began introducing changes to make the royal household more modern, practical, and in tune with the needs of everyday people. Over the years, he has faced many personal and professional obstacles. Still, he has stayed true to his values. As a monarch, he brings not only decades of preparation, but also a genuine interest in the environment and social welfare. His journey shows that even those born into royal life must grow, adapt, and keep learning from their experiences. The graceful path of Princess Anne. Princess Anne entered a world of formal titles, official duties, and palace life. Born on August 15, 1950, at Clarence House in London, she was Queen Elizabeth II's only daughter and the younger sibling of Prince Charles. Though not in line to rule, Anne made a name for herself through her actions and work ethic. From a young age, Anne showed that she was different. She had little interest in fancy dresses or the usual princess lifestyle. Instead, she loved riding horses, being outside, and staying active.